For some people who really want to have dreams, but they don't, I am thinking, it's on one hand, it may be they are resisting the unconscious, they don't want to listen, they are not open. On the other hand, I'm thinking some people are more connected with the unconscious life, or like through music, through artwork, through their daydream, imagination, fantasies, and they allow themselves to be in touch in their conscious waking life. And so with possibility that these people will have less dreams.
It is more my experience of dreaming than it is anything I've ever read in a book. Mm-hmm. When I was in analysis, I had very few dreams, very few. But I took them all to my analyst. I took them to the space that we had created for the work that we were doing, because I thought they were relevant. I still think they were relevant. But I think also that I dreamed less because I suspect that I was dreaming less then because I was engaged in the exploration that you suggested, the unconscious exploration. Mm-hmm. That's just my hunch. At a much earlier time in my life, when I had a very strange job, I worked as a chaplain in Arlington National Cemetery in Washington, D.C., and I never had a day at work without 3 funerals. Sometimes I had 8 funerals in one day. Not often, but sometimes 8. But always 3 if I was working. And I noticed 2 things that are relevant to our discussion. I noticed first that in the first 6 months after I arrived at the assignment, I dreamed about dying every single night. And then in the second 6 months, I didn't dream at all. Now, I don't know that now, that's been so many years ago, I don't know now that I can even begin to understand the function of dreaming. But what that suggests to me is that I was dealing with death every waking minute of my life. Mm-hmm. And my mind sought, my unconscious, and if you agree with me, God wanted me to continue and to do it and to incorporate it into my life. And so, as I said, the first 6 months I dreamed about death this is not an exaggeration. I dreamed about death every night. Then the second 6 months of the 3-year stint, I wouldn't dream at all. And I think I was in a healthier place dreaming. In a similar way, I noticed that when I would come back to work in the cemetery from leave or vacation, I would cry at the first funeral, and then I wouldn't cry at the subsequent funerals. Somehow I was disappointed in myself in that I couldn't cry at the ones following. I could only cry at the first one. Mm-hmm. And the way that connects to my way of thinking is that sometimes we are open to the work of the unconscious, and sometimes we're just not. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the unconscious leaves us alone for a really good reason.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking of some people in the music business that like doing jazz, doing these different kinds of improvisation kind of work. They need to be very much connected with the unconscious life. I wonder, they may have dreams, of course, as they are open to unconscious life. They may have less.
I don't know much about jazz, and I don't know much about improvisation, but it's always been my hunch that improvisation requires a certain openness and commitment from the person who's doing the work, and that it's who knows where this is going.
Yeah.
And so it's that. And that can be scary and exciting at the same time.
Yes, like dreaming.
Like dreaming. Mm. So when you start an improvisation, you don't really know how it's going to go. I've had a great privilege of just casually knowing just a very short while, a very capable organist who would do improvisations that were spectacular. And rather like jazz, but he was a liturgical organist. And so funny. it was just grand because he wasn't afraid of just moving with it
Okay, really? In the liturgy?
Yes, in the liturgy, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, it's really something. My third question is about the importance or unimportance of dream. How do you tell if a dream is important or not?